Hello, guys. It's a brand new day and a brand new day and a brand new day on the show. Control or be controlled. This is a podcast, as you guys know, is designed to help you start thinking differently the way you think and start taking good control of your life. And you guys know I also remain your host and as always, Dan Linton. All right, so we have a special guest today. Today's guest is Dr. Ginger Sharp. She's a chiropractor and functional medicine practitioner. She helps women move beyond chronic illness and overwhelming symptoms towards lasting healing and renewed hope. Dr. Ginger, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you for having me. I'm so blessed to be here.
All right, so just a little bit more background about our guest today. After overcoming her own battle with chronic Lyme disease, she combines clinical expertise with personal experience to guide women who feel exhausted, discouraged, and unsure of where to turn next. Our approach integrates functional medicine, practical lifestyle strategies, and a faith centered perspective, grounded in the belief that our bodies were created with an incredible capacity to heal when given the right support. Once again, Dr. Ginger, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so let's get into the questions here for you. So, many women living with chronic illness carry an overwhelming sense of guilt. What would you say to the woman who feels like she's letting her family down simply because she doesn't have the energy she once had?
Yeah, I think that this is one of the very big lies that Satan loves to use is the guilt, is this heavy mom guilt, um, or just what woman guilt of trying to take care of yourself. So I think that the biggest thing is just to realize and recognize that it is a lie and that we need to then fill it with truth, right? Because God calls us um, to raise our kids with patience and with kindness, and with lots of grace. He wants us to respond to them the way that He responds to us in this loving manner, and not just our kids, but our spouses and in our relationships. He really wants us to love well and respond well to one another. But so often, women with chronic illness that are carrying this guilt, we're reacting out of exhaustion and just total depletion. But when you're chronically ill and you're running on no sleep and you're wired and you don't have any quiet time or any moments where throughout the week that you can just be still and be quiet with the Lord, there's really nothing left. You're completely depleted. There's nothing really left to pull from. And that's when this reactivity happens. That's when we have these short fuses. That's when we kind of create this home that doesn't feel safe. So I would say that caring for yourself is not choosing yourself over your family, but we actually are choosing our family by making sure that the woman, the wife, the mom, the friend who shows up every day has a light to shine and something to give. You truly can't pour from an empty cup. And I don't really think that God really has ever asked us to try to do that. And I certainly did. I remember that there was a time when my oldest daughter, at the time she was 4, and I was reacting. And she had done something, and I was completely depleted, and I was just reacting. And I just looked at her, and she was terrified. I mean, her eyes were terrified, and I just kind of asked her, what is wrong? What are you so scared of? And she's like, you are scaring me. I am I am scared whenever you're yelling like that. And at that moment, it was a true heartbreaking moment, not because I was a bad mom but I was a reactive mom. I was a depleted one, and she was experiencing the consequences of my depletion, the consequences of the guilt and the shame that I was having because I wasn't taking care of myself. So the most loving thing that I ever really did for my daughters and my family was deciding that I was worth taking care of too.
Okay, so your own experience with chronic Lyme disease transformed your life and practice. Looking back, what was the biggest lesson that season taught you?
There was lots of lessons. I would say that one of the biggest lessons that I have, I would say clinically speaking, was that realizing and recognizing that my body wasn't broken, that it's not failing. It's not just, oh, this is just life, my new normal now. This is just how life is as you get older. Um, and recognizing that God is not a God of chaos, but truly a God of order. And He has designed our bodies to function and heal with order. And so it's very intentional and it's very specific. And whenever you start working with the blueprint, with the design, instead of against it by either ignoring it or masking symptoms or only managing the symptoms, the body finally is allowed or kind of given permission to do what it was designed to do, and that is to thrive. And once I kind of figured that out and started working with the order of the design, that's when the needle really started to move forward in my health.
Okay, so your faith is central to your work. How has scripture shaped the way you view the body's ability to heal and recover?
Yeah, I think that it was foundational um, because in chronic illness, it can be very dark. Um, we wear, especially as women, we're wearing lots of hats. The wife, the mom. At the time when I was really sick, I was still seeing patients. So I was, a chiropractor seeing patients, but we also owned our business. So as a business owner, I was homeschooling the girls. I was tutoring in a co-op. I was wearing all of these hats and really feeling like I was failing in every single one of them. And it was really God in his grace, because he tells us that his grace is sufficient, right? In that grace and with his word, that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, that I was a true masterpiece. It was through that he revealed to me the truth that I was enough. And I never had to be more than what he made me. And in the brokenness, in the weakness, in the darkness, in everything that I couldn't do, all that I was enough. And with that truth, with that scripture, with his word and his encouragement and his presence with me, is when I could really start healing from the lies, healing from, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, was really where I saw that the value wasn't in the output, but it was in the one who made me, and progress continued.
So, when someone is doing all the right things but still isn't seeing progress, what are the most common pieces of the puzzle that are often overlooked?
Yeah, there are several things. I think the very one of the biggest and really the best place to start is that um is safety, is feeling safe. Because most people who are stuck in chronic illness are doing all the right things. And I was doing all the right things. But in the chronic illness, our nervous system is in what we call fight or flight. Sometimes we call it wired and tired. It's really like where we feel like we're running from a bear all day, every day, or maybe we feel like we're fighting the bear, either way. But we're stuck in this um, space where we only are reacting, right? There isn't an ability to rest. There's not an ability to critically think. There's not any ability for a deep conversation, an intimate conversation. And again, the body is designed with this order of this nervous system, right? So if we need it needs to respond with stress, this fight or flight. We've got to go in this survival mode. We need that, but we also need to come back and allow it to rest and digest as well. And so often in chronic illness, we're just stuck in survival mode all of the time. And so we don't feel safe, even when the bear isn't in the room, even whenever there isn't an imminent danger and I'm totally in survival mode, I still feel like it. And so an example of this was I had been in a toxic relationship. And then even after I was taken out of it, my body still didn't realize that it was safe. I was still jaws clenched, white knuckles, not in the pit of my stomach. I was still in that fight or flight mode. And I had to physically tell myself, you are safe. There is no bear in the room, and really give myself this permission to switch from the fight or flight into this parasympathetic mode, or this rest and digest mode. And that was a practice that has really become very profound in my healing process, and in what I help other women with, was just really helping them get from one to the other. And that has really helped, again, continue to move that needle, is really feeling safe and giving your body permission to be safe.
Okay, thank you so much. So chronic illness doesn't just affect the person who's sick; it affects the entire family.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish every spouse or caregiver understood about supporting a loved one through that journey?
Yeah, yeah. Just start. It's hard. It's hard for everyone, and you're right. It's not just the person who's sick and doesn't feel well and it feels like they're drowning. It's the spouse that comes alongside. Especially men. Men are wired to fix things, right? You give them any tool, and they can solve any problem. But unfortunately, chronic illness hands them a situation where there isn't just this one tool that you can go pick up at Lowe's and use. And it really, I can see, and my husband has experienced, just really this feeling of helplessness, and that can really destroy a marriage, right? Not because there's no love there, but the stress of everything, the stress of chronic illness, the stress of this helplessness feeling leaves no room for grace or kindness or even patience. And it's really no easy task. And I feel like that both of the one that's chronically ill, and the spouse or the kids or whoever, is in that family, I think that they both need strong support teams, strong people around them, because the one who's sick needs the space in the room to heal, but the ones who are supporting them really need the strength to keep standing. And so I think that advice that I would give would be to have community, have people outside of the chronic ill relationship that will support you, for the man to be patient, the kids to be patient, the man to love well, and then just allowing space and that person who's chronically ill, just allowing them space to have to heal, to be the frustrated, to be depleted, um, and then really just able to take one day at a time.
Okay, so many women believe resting means they are being lazy or falling behind.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help reframe rest as an essential part of healing other than sign of weakness?
Can you ask the question again? I didn't get
I
the
said,
first part of it.
okay. Many women believe resting means they are being lazy or falling behind. How do you help them reframe rest as an essential part of healing rather than a sign of weakness?
Yeah, it really goes back to this idea that the, those words of you're being lazy, um, you're not taking care, or you're of that guilt and of that shame. I think it really goes back to what we were talking about earlier, just as far as you cannot pour from an empty cup, and God isn't asking us to pour from an empty cup. That when we are depleted, we're reacting. We're stuck in that fight or flight. We're not safe. And when we're not safe, we don't create an environment in our homes that are safe. And so everyone just doesn't feel safe, and everyone's just reacting. And it becomes a very chaotic environment where no healing can happen, not for the mom, not for the family, not for anyone. And so it's really about understanding that taking care of yourself is choosing your family. It is choosing to live a life of purpose on purpose for the Lord, that He calls us to do, because He does not ask us to live this reactive life, just go, 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 go. He wants us to live a life that is responding and is patient and is kind and is loving to one another.
Okay, so chronic illness can be incredibly isolating.
Mm-hmm.
Why do so many women struggle to ask for help, and how can they begin letting others support them without feeling like a burden?
Yeah, this is one that I did not do well in the beginning. I completely isolated myself. And to be honest, it created a really good environment for the enemy to work and really feed those lies. They were very loud there in isolation. There was the negative feedback loop ran the longest there, and just this voice that you're not enough, you're not significant, you're not important really becomes impossible to hear. And so God really showed me how much community matters, that He's not just suggesting community, but He commands it, because He knows that our prayers are more powerful together, healing is more powerful together. And even at the cellular level, even physiologically, the cells, our bodies are designed to need one another to function and to repair. So the people that are around you aren't this luxury or a sign of weakness, um, but they're part of the blueprint, part of that blueprint that we need, that design that of how God designed us to heal. And so we need someone to show up for us. We need someone to remind us that we're doing okay. We need someone to remind us about the tools that we have to help us feel better. We need to be seen. We need to be heard. We need to, it's not weakness, which I think so many women think that community would be weakness, or asking for help is weakness, but it's truly wisdom, because we need that support. We need that encouragement. We need that you've got this, and you are healing and you are getting better.
All right, so functional medicine looks beyond symptoms to uncover root causes. How does that approach differ from simply managing illness?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and there's a balance here. I'm not very good at the balance, but on something that I'm definitely working on. So, managing symptoms, we should manage symptoms to some degree, because it's especially when the symptom is pain, maybe a headache or a low back pain or overall body aches, or usually the symptom is some sort of pain. We have to manage it to be able to function, to find the root cause. But I think so often what happens is we only focus on managing the symptom and we don't address what's truly causing that symptom to happen. And when we do that, we miss the opportunity to heal because the body tells us that the symptom that we're having is just a signal. Your body's telling you something is not right. There is inflammation here. And functional medicine approach takes that deeper dive and looks at, okay, why is there inflammation in the body? What's causing that inflammation? Let's address that so that we don't have any symptoms to manage. And the symptom is just the signal to let us know that there's something deeper going on. So I really feel like there's a balance to doing that. We don't want to mask and we don't want to ignore the symptom so that we can hear from our bodies and then take care of it. And the sooner that we do that, the less symptoms that we have, the less masking or the less managing of those symptoms that we have to do.
Okay, thank you so much. So, here's my final question for you.
Okay.
If every woman listening today could walk away with one truth about her health, her body, and her future, what would you want that message to be?
Yeah. Gosh, it's hard to sum it up in one thing, but truly that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that we are God's masterpiece designed on purpose for a purpose, and that we are designed to heal, that we're designed to thrive. And when we stop believing the lies that Satan has given us and fill them with the truth of this, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, then we can heal and we can fulfill our purpose to love God and love people and do that really well.
I thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your personal story and a message of hope. For
Mhm.
listeners who would like to connect with you, learn more about your practice, or explore your resources, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, one of the best places right now is we have created a quiz that you can take. I think a lot of times when we're in chronic illness and we're in that fight or flight mode, it's hard to think and recognize that our bodies are talking to us and sending us signals. So this quiz can help you to see where you're at with your health journey as far as, do I have chronic illness, maybe Lyme like I did, or am I on the right track and I'm doing well? And so that's a great place to connect. And that's at discoverhealthquiz.com. I'll say it again, it's discoverhealthquiz.com. And it's a great place just to start and get in um, and learn more about what we're doing.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ginger. I'm so happy and glad that you are my guest for today and you have made this episode a very, very special one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.